Welcome to CS Design Studio's presentation, The Marketing Corner, with co-host Shawn Campbell and Wyatt Chambers. The Marketing Corner is your source for the latest and greatest in today's world of marketing and entrepreneurship. And now, without further ado, it's Shawn Campbell and Wyatt Chambers.
I don't think, this is going to be an hour of my 40-hour week. I just do it,
Right.
I love what I do. Do you think the quote-unquote 40-hour week kind of confines people a little bit too much, or is it just different types of personalities?
Yes, I totally think it's personality driven, or, if you look at PI psychological profiles or DIS psychological profiles, or, those kinds of tools, different people need different things. Like, I'm a person that really thrives in an unstructured environment.
Yeah.
I chafe at the thought of having any kind of structure put around me. Whereas I've had people that I've worked with and have worked for me that absolutely need structure in order to be effective at their job, in order to also feel confident, fulfilled, and comfortable in, that they're working on the right things. So in those cases, I probably wasn't the best boss for them,
Yeah.
But I figured that out, and I got myself a chief operating officer who was highly structured. He used to be chief of the boat in the nuclear Navy. So
Oh, wow.
he was very structured,
Yeah.
had all the processes down.
Yeah.
He was like a godsend to those kinds
Right.
of employees that I
Right.
had. Whereas my guys were all like, we're putting on war paint, getting ready to charge up the next hill, right?
So you're more the visionary, and that was the integrator in the organization.
Yes.
How important do you think that relationship is for an organization? Can an organization live off one or the other, or does it really need both to thrive?
I would say the organization needs those two things and one more thing. So I definitely feel you need that integrated person, the visionary, to kind of set the vision for where the company is going. Hopefully, energize the troops around achieving that vision, all that.
Yeah.
But the third thing that's needed is a business operating system. How do you go about the day-to-day stuff? How do you execute?
Right.
How do you build the culture? How do you handle attracting, onboarding, and retaining talent? How do you build a killer leadership team?
Right.
How do you manage cash, for example?
Yeah.
If you focus only on revenue, you're going to end up going bankrupt.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different things that a solid business operating system needs to provide to a business as well. And then you get all your employees taught and how to operate within that business operating system. And then the business kind of runs itself with their attention to the things that they need to be attentive to. And then you have your integrator orchestrating that whole thing. And then guys like me can be off charging up hills, right?
You have a little bit of a combination between like EOS, I believe we talked about one time, and something, because you're not a complete proponent of EOS, correct?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I can do. So I'm certified in a number of different business operating systems. So EOS is basically a subset of one called Scaling Up, which is kind of like the granddaddy of all operating systems. It used to be known as the Rockefeller Habits, and then it became Gazelles. So I'm certified in that. I'm certified in one called Metronomics, which is the latest, most darling one out there, which is really focused on, I think so let me back up a second. So where EOS kind of falls flat is EOS is a great operating system for getting people to execute in the business. Okay, the right kinds of meetings, what do you pay attention to, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think EOS does a great job. But quite frankly, that's what came out of Scaling Up. So the guy who started EOS, Gino Wickman, he was a Scaling Up coach. And then he said, I think I can do this better or make it easier, because Scaling Up tends to be complicated for people to self-implement, where EOS you can self-implement. So he wrote Traction and started EOS. So then we have Scaling Up, Metronomics, Business Acceleration System. So again, where the limits of EOS is mainly focused around execution. There are 6 systems that I work with my clients in. Execution is one of the 6. So I have many clients that I call it graduate from EOS into my kind of coaching because EOS does not do strategy well. EOS does not do team cohesiveness very well. EOS doesn't do culture very well. So there's a lot of limitations around EOS. So once you get to a certain level where as your integrator and your team are comfortable with the EOS system around execution, you start scratching your head, well, there's got to be more to this, right? And that's where these other methodologies come into play. And I just got accepted and given a scholarship to get certified in positive intelligence.
Oh, okay.
So I'll be starting that program next month.
Yeah, we are going through that ourselves here. I went through it's a 6-7 week course, I believe it was, and interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And just like everything, it has a lot of pros, but there are some things that,
Yeah, it's a little more touchy-feely kind of stuff.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you noticed, but I'm not very touchy-feely, Mo.
Nah, I'm an engineer, so.
Would you say, I love your description right now on the different systems and whatnot. Do you think when you go in, are you pretty much open-minded? And depending on what's, the current environment, the strengths and opportunities, et cetera, of the business, and then you kind of mold your coaching strategy and your program around what you don't come in with like a set, I want to shove this model down your throat, right?
Not at all.
Yeah.
No, I like to meet the client where they're at. So if they've been an EOS implementer, we'll take what they've done with EOS and lay that as a foundation to build on. But most importantly, we listen intently to what the client's goals are, right? So if the client's goal is to retire in 3 years, well, I'm going to focus on maximizing his exit valuation. Right. So I'll do all the things necessary to do that. If he feels like his leadership team isn't operating in an as cohesive unit as they need to be, I'll focus on that stuff. If accountability, which is a huge thing, is a problem within the organization, they consistently miss their numbers or whatever, and then I'll focus on that.
Yeah.
So are they entering into a crowded market and they're finding it very difficult to differentiate themselves? We'll focus on a strategy to help them be unique in the marketplace, then work with guys like you in order to help them develop their marketing campaigns around that. So it just depends. We meet the client where they're at. By we, I mean me and my fellow 2 coaches. We're a small boutique coaching firm. So we're very just goal focused and to try to deliver to the client what they really are looking for.
Have you ever thought about just trying to apply your I think you'd probably get too bored. I think I just answered the question to you, but like to a particular niche, like you just want to coach,
type of industry?
Yeah, flower shops or whatever.
Can't say I've ever coached a flower shop. No, maybe a large nursery with lots of moving parts. For me personally, I need, in order to feel energized and excited about something, I need to have a lot of balls in the air.
A challenge.
So no, I can't say, although I seem to have gravitated to, like, I have two classes of clients right now, although I'm just adding a third class. Either some various kind of contractor or, residential commercial service provider kind of thing, or real estate investment companies. I've done that. And then my third one now is I'm helping a fellow build a testing laboratory business.
Oh, wow.
Which is
interesting.
Totally cool. Yeah.
Very interesting.
I'm having a ball with that.
Yeah. Give me one book that you've read that is something that you think about daily, something you learn from it daily, and what's the most recent book that you read?
One book
that you're like,
God, I read a book a week, so it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to.
Oof.
You got to. In order
Then your top 3 to 5 books that all time that are kind of
All right.
you always kind of refer back to this.
All right. Jim Collins, Good to Great. Patrick Lencioni, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. Excellent book, especially around accountability.
Yeah.
Liz Wiseman's book, Multipliers. That's how you become a multiplier instead of diminisher as a manager.
Okay.
So micromanaging versus
Yeah.
So those are my top 3 books. I would say.
What's the most recent book you read?
The most recent book I read, what was that one? I'm reading one called, God, I can't even think the title of it right now. I can see it on my desk. It's about the 8 things that modern day workers need in a job.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I can't think of the title of the book. But yeah.
Are you, besides listening to our podcast, which I'm sure you will, are you into podcasts or have you delved into that world yet? Or?
I really haven't. If I listen to anything, it's probably going to be a book.
Yeah. I listen to books because I can't read more than 2 or 3 pages without my mind just wandering away. Yeah. And very, very recently, I started listening to books while I'm out doing my morning walk or jog. And I'm surprised because I always thought I needed music, but the books that I listen to motivate me more than the music does.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, like for example, last week I read a book called Outthink the Competition by Kahan Krippendorf. And he talks about the stratagems and the outthinker process. He's got this whole thing. He's a PhD in strategy of all things. And very smart guy. His book's super. And I immediately ripped through that book and said, I'm doing this in my next client workshop, which was earlier this week. And we kind of ran through the various strategies, just kind of trying to get their minds open to thinking about something in a different fashion.
Right.
And so it's a lot of fun. I do that a lot.
Yeah.
I read a book once on object-oriented software, and then developed a re-engineering methodology around that for a business process, and then developed a strategic planning process using objects. So I love doing that kind of stuff.
More of the story, Lily. We need to read more.
I know.
Reading is good.
Yeah, I saw a short video clip this morning that was interesting, and I thought about bringing it up in this podcast if it kind of lent itself to it. It's called the red car theory. Have you heard of that?
No.
So on your way here from your home, I'm assuming,
I was in a red car.
Besides your own red car, how many red cars did you see on the way here?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I told you I was going to give you $100 for every red car,
then I would pay attention.
Yeah, you're paying attention. So the basis behind the red car theory is there's opportunities in front of us each and every day. We just don't have our eyes open for it. And I think I'm very guilty of that because I'm always thinking ahead of what I want to accomplish next. But it's weeks later when I'm like, that one conversation I had with Mo, why didn't I move upon? I don't see the opportunities until it's a little bit later. So I think that's one of the things I kind of want to maybe find some more resources about and how to keep your eyes open, quote unquote, to kind of see the opportunities that are ahead of us. Because there's opportunities for myself with all the resources we have to learn something every day. And it's imperative that I do that. But I think I'm probably missing some more opportunities than I realize.
Yeah. No, it's important to keep your eyes open. And you tend to look at opportunities where there's a lot of friction in the process. If you can identify a process or a service or something like that where there's a lot of friction and causes a lot of consternation with the user of that process, then that's probably a good place to look for a business opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, how many times in our experience, Mo, where we're like, why didn't I think of that? About once a month these days, I'm like, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, like the pet rock, right?
Right. I don't know. This was way before your time, Lily, but there was actually a guy who sold pet rocks.
What?
Getting serious.
They make money?
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot
This
of money,
was probably in the 80s, 90s.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
got it was in a box, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, I think, in the mid 90s, early
Wow.
90s. And he was selling people pet rocks and he'd ship them to you in a box.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Why didn't I think of that, Lily?
I don't know.
I wouldn't be here right now, that's for sure. Anything else that you wanted to cover, Mo? And we covered a lot of different areas. I'm sure we're going to have you on as a guest again because you have such a vast amount of knowledge. I mean, we're going to end on two questions here. What's one thing that you can offer our listeners, just a nugget, something to make them think today on what you see that's happening in today's environment, what to look out for, what's on the horizon, in your opinion, that leaders today need to be aware of?
I would say they need to be self-aware. Let's just start with that.
Yeah.
Versus externally.
Yeah.
I think that if you have an accountability issue at work, that probably means that the communication and the clarity of that communication to the troops is lacking.
Yeah.
So really focusing on your communication skills will
Yeah.
pay huge dividends.
Yeah. Yeah. And that kind of references back to the positive intelligence, and that addresses, being self-aware, tremendously.
Right. Your saboteurs.
Last question, the most important question. Anywhere in the world you could take your fiance Kim for dinner tonight, where would you take her?
Probably an island in Greece.
Wow. And you knew right away, too.
Oh yeah, because I've
You knew
been
right away.
thinking about going to Greece for some time here.
Yeah. The two of you are awesome, by the way. It's great seeing you guys
Yeah, it
last
was fun.
night. And I met your daughter briefly. And
Yeah. She's
Yeah.
back on her way to California today.
Yeah, and you're going back for a wedding, I believe you said.
No,
this
my
weekend?
niece's, my
Your niece.
sister's daughter's
Okay.
engagement party.
Okay.
But the main event is going to be her wedding, which will be on the island of Curacao.
Oh, wow. Wow.
in March, and there's going to be a scuba party.
Wow.
So I'm really looking forward to that.
Wow. That's cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. Mo, thank you so much for your
Yeah,
time.
my
I
pleasure.
really, really appreciate your time. Anytime you and I get together, it's a pleasure, and it's an honor just to kind of hang out with you.
Oh, thank
And
you.
it's
Yeah,
just-
I enjoy your company as well.
You're one of the. There's I have a few friends, but it's like when you and I get together, just the wealth of knowledge that you're very generous with, I'd really appreciate. So, thank you.
No,
Thank
please.
you.
Yeah.
So,
I'd be happy to come back anytime you'd like, and we could do a deeper dive in any of these business systems or anything like that. And I'm open.
Do
to
you
that.
want to offer an audience like a way to an email address if they want to follow up with you on anything that we talked about?
Sure, if you think that would be
I
helpful.
think it'd be pretty good. What's your
Okay.
email address? And we're going to have it in the comments, whether you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify. You see a clip on Facebook, LinkedIn. We'll put Mo's email in the comments as well. But what's your email address?
So I'm one of the 3 coaches in the Activate group. And so my email address is mrousso, so it's MROUSSO, at Activate Group Inc. for Inc. Incorporated, right? ActivateGroupInc.com.
Cool. Thank you. It was a pleasure, Mo. Appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me on.
And thank you all for listening. Very much appreciate it. Remember, if you want to do what you want to do, you got to do what you got to do. Until next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Marketing Corner. Follow us on Facebook or visit us at csdesignsstudios.com today.